Hola and welcome to Oye Cinema Club. My name is Marina, aka Dignified Couch Potato. Tonight we are going to be reviewing the 1965 musical The Sound of Music. I'm super excited. I chose this movie kind of Steve inspired me on this. I'm making up a genre. It's a movies with music but have deeper meanings. That's what I'm going to pretend that we're in this group together. But I'm not alone. Tonight I will be reviewing this movie with Steve Des and Jason Eccles. Awesome. Well, before I talk about my first impressions, let's see what yours are. Let's start with Jason.
So the Sound of Music. When you picked this last week, it's Sound of Music is a very interesting place in my psyche. I think this is like probably my second or third time probably watching it, and my first time before I ever saw this movie. Like most of my life, I would see like commercials for it and parodies of it, and it's always the opening sequence of the movie, like the heroes are alive. And I just remember, like they would show it like at every Oscars, like it's an intro or outro or between commercials, or it's just one of the big iconic Hollywood moments that they have just milked. And so it's always funny to me when you first pop this movie on, and that's the first scene. The first scene is like this iconic thing, and so I paid really close attention to the first scene this time. And in the very first scene, there's like a hover shot over her, and I always like in my mind subconsciously thought it was like a helicopter, right? But this time I noticed there's no grass blowing. So how did they get that opening shot? Because it zooms right down and swoops down right on her. Not one blade of grass is flowing like it's a helicopter. So were they using a glider? Were they using like a toy helicopter, i.e., a drone? Like, how did they get the shot? So I'm gonna have to find that out. I'm gonna do my research and figure it out. Uh,
You think there were cranes in 1965? What are you
it's
saying?
it's too high. It's coming down like from airplane levels. Like it's like 100 feet up in that thing. If it is a crane, I got to see it. It's got to be like one of those construction cranes. Um, so this impression of the movie, it's pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. But I did have a new feeling this time watching this movie. Um, like I've always liked the Von Trapp family because this movie it's pretty layered and pretty textured. It's a romance movie and it works as a romance movie. It works, but it works as a musical, like a family musical, right? And it's great numbers in it. And Julie Andrews is like astonishing. But then it also works like, which I've always thought was impressive, as like a Nazi drama. Like the last uh, uh, act of this movie is just a Nazi drama. Forget all the stuff we saw before that. These folks are like running for their lives in this thing, and that always kind of impressed me. How like they managed to advertise this thing so much and like kind of bleed it down your throats, but you never know it's a Nazi drama. There's a lot to like about this movie. Christopher Plummer's a G. He's so dope. Obviously,
R.I.P.
huh?
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Chris Plum. He was super dope. I always feel like I knew Christopher Plummer, that I met him or something, but I don't think I ever did. I don't think I ever did. I heard a lot of actors tell tale of being in the vicinity of Christopher Plummer, but maybe by proximity in my mind's eye. Um, he's great, and I think this is probably the youngest I've ever seen him in anything. I don't think I've ever seen anything else of him either. I haven't seen any earlier work of his than this. I don't think. Um, yeah, Christopher Plummer could have been like James Bond or something. Honestly, he was pretty dope. Uh, and yeah, all the rest of the actors in this thing are great, and I'm sure we'll talk about our favorite characters. But I will say this is the new reaction I had to the movie. Sorry, this is a bit of a long-winded first impression, but here's my new reaction from this viewing of the film at this age. Certain moments did make me a little emotional. It made like I was like I got like not I didn't cry, but I felt like if it went on a little bit longer, I may have cried. Like the scene where like he sees her singing to his family, or he's got the kids happy, and then he realizes this is the first time I've seen the kids happy since like mom died, and like it kind of like put music back in the house and some like in her spirit back in the house or whatever that was. And like I guess I really thought about it from his perspective this time. I was like, oh man, like it just kind of warmed my heart, and it almost made me want to cry a little bit. And there's another scene too, I forget what it was, but there's another scene too that kind of like got me a little, oh, it was nice. But yeah, it's a dope movie, man. Like this thing will be a classic forever.
Thank you. Don't cry. No, Steve, you can go next.
I'll definitely keep mine more brief than Jason's over
Sorry
there.
about that.
No, it's all good.
Got a little excited.
Hey, you're free to express yourself however you want here.
Okay.
So, anyway, first impression, I never seen this film. I heard of it, and I'm familiar with the white girl like in the field, just like kind of doing this pose.
Hmm.
That's about it. The moment I actually started watching the film, I was like, oh my God, I know a lot of these songs. And I am a person that typically leans toward, if it's not funny, I lean towards I dislike or they're not my favorite genre musicals. But this one, when he started doing songs that I actually know, I was like, oh my mind was blown away because essentially I have like there's so many things that this movie inspired now that I
Yep.
like see kind of this thing because legit the first song that came to mind, which is I believe the first song that gets sung in the movie or one of the no, it's not the first song, but one of the first songs that get sung in the movie is like the when she's singing to the children about
So,
these are a few of my favorite things.
oh,
And
sure.
I remember when dubstep, so like techno, wah wah, all that music was coming out. I listened to one that says that remix this, like these are a few of my favorite things. Boom, wah, 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 wah. And I was like, yo, I was like, this is crazy. Uh, and then the part of like the goodbye, adieu, adieu, that part, I've heard it in like a million car commercials
Mhm.
for Christmas that they play in the States, or a million things. I don't remember if the Animaniacs even did something about this or something. But
Ariana
like
Grande too.
Ariana Grande, work for her on Thank You Next. But yeah, I was just like so amazed with like just like how I was not necessarily in touch with this movie, like at all, first time seeing it. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, but this inspired this. And literally while Jason was doing his long first impression, kind of like mine is right now, I was checking if the Brady Bunch were older than this. Because I was
Mm.
like, this might inspire the Brady Bunch. This has like a Brady Bunch vibe-ish in a way. But anyway, first impressions. I really enjoyed the movie. Uh, I was not expecting to go Nazi on me. That was a big turn for me. I was not
Yeah.
expecting that at all whatsoever. I was also not expecting the nun stuff, but yeah, yeah. First impressions. That's it.
Yay! I actually think you guys had the exact amount of time. No, I'm kidding. My first impression. I too have seen this movie a few times. Funny story about it. It's one of the only movies my mom allowed me to watch, and then it ended up becoming one of my favorites. So watching it this time around, I was trying to gain like new perspective. Obviously, super excited to discuss it with others, but I too was a little bit more emotional. I don't know if it's like the times in the world right now and
Mm.
everything that's happening, but it was definitely. And then I, having seen it before and knowing the elements, I think I was a little bit more attached to like pre World War II talk because it was like it just made me think of like all the people around the world who are just with their families and how like stuff like this, like wars and stuff, like it knows no salary. Like you would think that someone who was higher up would be protected for his beliefs, and it just was like, no, like it'll take everyone, and nobody's safe from war. And so it did make me a little bit more emotional with like every connection. And I enjoyed it. I go once a year to go watch this at the Hollywood Bowl for the songs, though. Like
Yeah.
I sing with everybody, so it was really cool to kind of just like sit back and like criticize it from a film perspective and acting perspective. I love Julia, like our OG Mary Poppins. Like she's amazing in everything. And I too don't think I've seen Christopher Plummer in much else at this age. I actually didn't know that was him until like 10 years ago, I think. I was like, wait a minute, what? Because he's one of those people who looks nothing like he did when he was young. Like,
Nope.
like his face got longer or something. I don't know. That's a whole nother story for another day. But overall, it was really cool to see this again. It's probably been about a year-ish since I've watched it. So I enjoyed it. I enjoy it every time, and I think you take something differently from it. It's that well written, to where you can have all kinds of feels for this film. But yeah, those are my first impressions.
Great thoughts.
And then I wanted to say too what I was saying about Ariana Grande. She has that song that about being hot. What's the song like? Girls in red. You like my hair? Gee, thanks. Just bought it. I see it. I want like that's that song. It's like doon 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 doon. What is listen to it off of here, but it's their song about it's called something things, I think, or something, but she's just like it literally is like it's phone like wrong number. I ain't got no time. You gotta just I'm probably butchering, but it she samples that concept, the favorite things for that too. Speaking of the music, I guess that'll be my first category. Let's get into favorite song.
Let's get into it.
And you can go first, Jason.
That's our soundbite. Uh, record that, Steve, and let's put it in the button machine. Let's get into it. Uh, the music is stellar in this thing from top to bottom. Like what I noticed this time about it was is that basically all the songs that Julie Andrews sings are iconic. Like those are the ones that we know even away from the movie, right? Because the Nuns had some songs too, but I don't remember those. I don't remember anybody singing that, whistling those in the street, right? That's that's what I was thinking about when I was watching it, man. My favorite song though is the one that makes me the happiest, man, and it's the easiest song, and it's the cutest. It's the one that when she teaches the kids how to sing, the do re mi fa sol like that. It's so fun, and it's like when it came on, I turned into a kid, and I was kind of like hopping around, like when I was singing it, like. I was doing the whole thing. I wasn't even like I was in the movie. I wasn't even really watching it. I was kind of just doing this around the apartment. I'm not even kidding. Um, so yeah, that's a happy song for me, man. Christopher Plummer can sing a little bit too. That was cool to watch him like, sing for his family's life. Um, yeah,
Speaking of tear scenes, goodness gracious. Ah, yeah. Cool.
that's scary though, right? In that scene, like the tension, and it's like, I mean, the guy wants him to be wrong and not be able to sing, so he can like arrest him right there. And he goes, "Oh damn, he really can sing." Jerk. Right? But then like it's breaking his heart because he's like, man, like my country has failed. My country's failed us, and I gotta get my new family, and I gotta run us the hell up out of Dodge, and I'm scared out of my mind right now. Like I'm terrified because like I'm responsible for everybody, and I gotta save us.
Yeah.
And he starts to like lose it a little bit. He starts to like get emotional, and like the whole moment becomes like just a bit too big for him. And then she swoops in and saves him. And it's like it's just a wonderful moment of them being like connected and her knowing when like he needs the assist.
True. That's another thing I noticed this time around is that their love life escalated way quicker. Like
Mhm.
they
Yeah,
they went from like not like no sexual tension whatsoever to like one dance and then she leaves and then they get married. Like what? But it's cool. It's whatever.
yeah.
Love is love.
No, you're right.
Well, to be fair, she comes from the nunhood, so you kind of have to jump. Like it's
Yeah,
none
he's right
is
though.
none.
She hasn't been around a man in a long time, and he's like a strong, strapping man, and he's in charge, and he's got a nice uniform on, and
It's all or nothing. Ha ha ha.
yeah, she-
All right, Steve, what's your favorite song?
Man, uh, uh, it has to be the favorite thing song. Has to be that
sure.
one. Just so iconic to me because
Yeah.
you mentioned Ariana Grande, which you know is what it is. I'm not in the demo of listening so to Ariana Grande, but in my dubstep times, I heard that, and I'm pretty sure there's like a million freaking samples of this of
Yeah. I
so
feel like
many
Christmas
things.
time, like TJ Maxx did like a commercial to it too. Like the
Oh, for
favorite
sure.
cereal, like you want to buy at the store. Like these are a few. Yeah. It's
Yep.
definitely it is kind of cool that you were out there like having the night of your life. You didn't even know like where that sample came from. You're like, this is like, yeah.
These are a few of my favorite things. Nailed it.
Okay, my favorite song. So obviously I love the fun songs. I always have, but I don't know what it is. It could be daddy issues, but when Captain sings um Edelweiss with his oldest daughter, um
Mm,
it's always been so beautiful to me. And then when I do the Hollywood Bowl, um that's the song where everybody turns on their cell phone light when they're singing. And it's like Edelweiss. I'm just like and then my second favorite is because when I was little, my mom used to say they were saying my name instead. And like when it was like, how do you solve a problem like Maria? She would always
mm.
say like they're saying Marina because you're a problem. And yeah, it's a little traumatic, but
Uh,
it sticks to me every time I hear it. I'm like, they're singing to me.
that's funny. I'm a problem.
But the nun thing is so funny. Like it wasn't until I started watching this movie as an adult where I stopped fast forwarding through the most of their songs. Like I do like the "How do you solve a problem like Maria" part, but like the one where she sings by herself, like, she was like climb every mountain. I'd be like fast forward. I was
Oh,
just like
really?
not feeling it. I remember I having my little VHS player and just being like,
Oh.
like, okay, cool, great.
Just get her on out of the way. Just cut it out the movie altogether. We don't need it.
And I was nervous the first time I went to the bowl. I was like, I can't fast forward, but I enjoyed it because everybody was singing together, and I was like, okay, I guess homegirl is like an opera singer. I should be appreciating this,
Oh,
but
was she an opera singer?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like the notes that she's hitting sound very like opera like, and I'm over here like my whole childhood just like, nope.
I would imagine though at the bowl, that's probably one of the more quieter songs, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
they're not amped up for that one.
yeah, you're just sitting back like, wow, go
Yeah,
off. Yeah,
they go on with this song that nobody knows.
yeah. Well, so in addition to song, I also kind of wanted to talk about favorite characters. We have a lot. Um,
Yeah, this one should be pretty interesting.
yeah, and everybody acted their little booties off, even if they had like one line and one step.
That's
Uh,
the great thing about a lot of old great musicals. Even the characters with one line, like they make that line like a key line in the movie. You know what I mean? Like characters with one word, they just sort of like they take charge of their moment. In movies like this, I love that.
for sure. Well, since you
Do
are
you think now that we just because we said it, and I hate to but just on sort of subject off subject, the butler. Do you think he reported them to the Nazis?
100%, and that's funny. I didn't
Oh,
notice that until like 2 times ago watching it. That homie was in the window. I was
yeah,
like,
because they said they didn't let a couple of the people at the house know, right? They didn't let them because they didn't even want them to get questioned and get in trouble with the Nazis. So like, we're not even going to tell them. That way they can say.
he probably eavesdrops.
But yeah, the butler knows everything, and
Yeah.
he's right in the window, like, like
And
I'll get you for this.
Was a butler a snitch? But now too, so like I said, maybe like 2 times ago, I noticed that, right? The window scene. So this time around, I noticed like he was like overly into what the telegram said. I never really took that into account. Like the first time Ralph comes to deliver a letter, he's like, "Any news?" I'm like, "You look like a little spy."
Yep. Wow. You're right about that. He did 100%.
He is not my favorite character.
Doggone it. All right. Well, then I'm just going to tell you my favorite character is because it ain't far off from the butler. It's actually Rolf. I like Rolf a lot because, I mean, obviously I knew where it was going this time, but I remember the first time I seen this movie, I had no clue Rolf was going to like trade in this super cute girl that he's in love with for the Nazis. Like, and he was happy to do it. Like, Rolf wasn't conflicted at all. Like, maybe the thing that got him a little bit conflicted was like, oh, I hate the captain for embarrassing me and making me run off or whatever. I'll get him for that, kind of vibe. But it's like you went from being in love with this girl for real, and he was always like a little bit arrogant to her. There's something about Rolf you don't like right away. But I think he's a really good actor, the guy who played him, and I think like he danced and sing really well, and I pay a little bit more attention to that this time. It's like, yeah, he's really, really quite good. And he makes you not like him. I mean, from my buck, I don't like him the most of anybody in the movie. Even like the guy who's the villain. Like I hate Rolf more than him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's crazy. It's definitely a depiction on how like hate really consumed people.
Yeah,
Like you can, if there's a movement, and like it's almost like religion, almost like if you're following something, it's crazy what you'll do for what you believe in. Like even when like it even gave him some buck, like when he went over him and he was like throwing rocks at the window. He's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, Heil Hitler." Like, what the what? Like, oh, now you're like gang gang. He's like, I don't. He's like, alone. I'm nobody,
basically.
but I'll get the whole squad on you, Captain. It was hilarious.
Yeah, basically.
I almost spilled my coffee at that point.
He was like a Hitler youth, but right. Yeah, right. It was gang gang for real.
Seriously. Um, Steve, what about you? Your favorite character?
Favorite character. Man. Uh, it's difficult to not say or state the obvious, but
Sure.
Maria. The moment the movie even opens, mind you, I am a guy that has never seen this movie, has only maybe seen her spinning like this, have heard the song in like a dubstep, not knowing who the heck is this person.
Yeah.
The moment the movie starts, I couldn't help but smile because, like, her introduction into this movie, and then the mountains, the landscape, like all of it, and also it's also I mean, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but like it's also kind of goes back to the ending. It goes back to like those landscapes and those gorgeous views and stuff because that sense of singing and nature and being free, all that are things that like humans in the eye is going to crave, especially even more that we went through pandemics and stuff like that. That is only going to transmit joy. I would think. So for sure, uh, that had to be my favorite character because every scene, every song, every moment light up the screen.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yep, like, yeah, she's a star. Like I almost feel like she was shorted like on like she hasn't been in a ton, but everything she's done is great. Like even her small role in the Princess Diaries, you know what I mean? Like she's always just killing it with like grace and things.
Well, the reason why she didn't do a lot of Hollywood movies at her peak is because she didn't really care for movies that much. She was a Broadway star, and that's kind of like where she wanted to be. And she had a really bad taste in her mouth. They talk about her a lot in Walt Disney's book, because she had a really bad taste in her mouth about Hollywood, because like weird contract stuff, and they weren't letting her quite do what she wanted to do. And then she had got held up in like My Fair Lady Hale for a while. Like she was My Fair Lady on Broadway, and they wanted her to do for the movie. And then, like at the last minute or whatever, they ended up giving it to Audrey Hepburn because she was already a proven movie star. And so she just kind of like, you know what, I'm done with Hollywood. And so Disney was trying to court her for like a decade to do Mary Poppins, and she didn't want to do it, and blah blah blah. And she ended up doing this, and so she didn't do Mary Poppins or something like that. But so she was like more content with just doing Broadway. And I mean, obviously, like it would have been. Imagine if she would have never done this movie, or just like the at least the two iconic singing ones that she had, Mary Poppins and this, right? Like the world, we would never know like how incredibly gifted of a performer she is. I mean, maybe we would have, but probably not. I mean, everybody on Broadway would be like, she's a gift. And we were like, yeah, sure.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad she did that, but I'm glad she also stuck to her values and things. I know it's hard, man. Like, acting can be some of the biggest money you can make. In comparison to other jobs you may be qualified for. So definitely very commendable when people turn it down when it's not suiting them. So for
And this movie's on Disney Plus now, which I thought was kind of funny, like very ironic that Disney now owns this movie that interfered with him making his dream project for a decade.
that is funny.
He owns a
Yeah, I don't know why I thought there was always already a part of it altogether.
Yeah.
You kind of, so the I'll open it up to like anything you guys want to think to talk about, but I did want to kind of talk about like it's kind of a pattern for some of the movies that surround like World War II talk to like for its like pivot really quickly. I know you guys did this before me, but one of my favorite movies is Life is Beautiful. And I feel like that was another movie where it was like, ha ha ha, he, drama. You're just like, whoa. And it's just like, I think it is intentional for you to like feel the gravity of how people's lives are just like shooken up in times like these. And not just in that time, like there's, any war, just people are living their everyday lives. And it's just like, boom, dictatorship. And it's like, whoa, like,
That's a great observation, man. You're right. A lot of Nazi movies do that, and I don't know. I mean, obviously you notice it when you're watching it, but I've never like, drawn the thread together like that. And it's powerful, honestly, because I mean, obviously the idea they're trying to get across is what you just said. These people are living their lives. They're doing cinema club, and next thing you know, they're being drug out of their apartments by Nazis, right? Just because they didn't vote the right way. I've read stories though that talk about that, and some of the stories talk about it, and it's different. Some people say it happened very suddenly. Some people said they noticed it happened, extremely slowly and gradually. I guess it just depends on how tapped in you were to like politics or whatever at that time, or like geopolitical situations, like who you knew that worked at the ministry or something. You know what I mean? Like because a lot of people didn't know, and a lot of people did know. So it's like you know, technology information didn't move that fast, so it's like if you didn't read the paper, I'm sure literacy rates were a lot lower. Like, I mean, who knows? People listening in beer halls or wherever they're getting their news from. The Von Trapps were very fortunate because he was a government official. So he got the word of what went down, and he was like, we're out of here tonight. You know what I mean? I've got the resources to go. We own a car. We can get out of here, but we got to go now. And we're going to do it under the cover of darkness. But other people, like, they might have known everything that was going down, but I can't move. Grandma's got a bum leg, and I got a little person here or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird, scary times, man. It's weird, scary times, and you're right. Like, maybe I thought about a little bit of that. I thought about a little bit of that when I was watching this thing. A friend of mine was telling me that she used to be like a lifelong, and this isn't political at all, but this is just a reaction. She said she was like, her and her family were like lifelong Republicans, and they're black people. And she said that she had went to the Trump rally in 2016, like an early Trump rally. And she said, she's just seeing what it was about, and she said there was a group of guys there, like 20, 30 guys, and they started doing the Hail Hitler thing. And she said it sent chills down her back. And she left the rally and she goes, "This ain't it. This ain't it for me."
Mm.
And it was their first time ever voting Democrat that year. And I mean, what's her face lost or whatever, but she was like, she couldn't unsee what she saw. And like now I guess we have a little bit more information, but if things did tilt, they could happen fairly fast if there's a new person in power. And you don't like the one thing that I didn't realize about politics over like the last 8 years was how frail the whole system of everything is. Like the veil has been lifted. Things can change overnight in a political situation. And like we're blessed to be Americans, right? But we hear about it all the time in other countries. Oh, a dictator took over and everything got messed up. My family had to run. The dictator took all our money, or he took our farm, or whatever dictators do. He corrupted the money. Our money's worthless now. He embezzled everything. Like we're all, whatever dictators do. There's entire countries of people telling that story, right? So it's like, yeah, the world is fragile, man.
I know. I've always said this, even like, I mean, not, I don't want to sound like self righteous. I've always said this before it got cool for people to be aware of this, I guess you could say, like a political hipster. I was always
Sure.
like, we live in such a, I always said our country is a passive aggressive oppression. And I've like, and as much as I can't stand that, and I'll continue to fight for it, it's much better than like waking up to a machete because my skin tone's different. Like,
Yeah.
and there is no questions, there's no pretending. Here it's like, are you racist? And people are like, no, you got to prove it. And in some countries, it's like, yeah, I am. And I'm going to kill your whole family because we just passed that law. Like, I
Yeah.
appreciate that we don't live in that.
Right.
but, I'll continue to fight for what's right no matter what. But it is crazy when you think about it, like what happened in like Rwanda and everything.
Hmm.
And just like yeah, that's like in your face, like, yes, if you're a part of this tribe, we're going to basically exterminate like the entirety. And it's like, whoa. And then so that's definitely the American blessing there, because like they probably wish they could, but it's the way that like the system is here. But
Yeah.
anything can change. And to kind of veer off more, like I think what kind of affected me this time to really like that gravity of like, whoa, like I felt it a lot more the past few times I've watched it since COVID, because I was so busy between like work and like planning a wedding. I had no idea it was happening. Like, even to a point where like I knew like certain jobs were starting to get canceled because of it, but I thought it was just like a 1 month thing. Like, but I didn't, I remember I went to Target the day things, we had a mask thing. I had no idea. And the man looked at me like I was crazy, and I felt like I was, like, in a scene of, like, Handmaid's Tale or something where
Mhm.
things just switched up. Like, he was just like, "Where's your mask?" Like, I was, like, a bad person or something. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "The mask mandates today." I was like, "Whoa." I had no I didn't know I was supposed to have one. Like, what the heck?
What if there's a cloak mandate? What if like that happened? Like, where's your cloak? And it's like, what?
"Where's your broomstick?" Like, what is happening? I
What
remember
about
just going back to the
what
car.
about they go like? What about they go like? You have to sing. You have to say everything singing. It's musical.
That's the new mandate.
It
Stars
was
today.
it was such a surreal feeling, I'll never forget it. And I think, like, now when I watch things where things, like, get ripped really quick, whether it's something about war or a movie where the world's ending or something like that, now I understand, like, whoa, like, it could just, like, the whole world could change. We couldn't eat at restaurants, like, it's so crazy, like, and so they kind of parallels to stuff. I think I feel it a lot more when I watch these things, like, wow, it is like that. This is not a dramatization. It's like, it's real life.
Yeah,
Um,
man. It's funny because like as a kid, I always wondered about stuff like that. When we talk about like the genocides or massacres or like political dictatorships or all that kind of stuff. you wonder as a kid, like how people can fall into it. Like, how'd you get at least half the people to agree to like kill the other half or to hate the other? How did you do it? Like, it never made sense. And then you get a little bit older, and you go, "Oh, I get it now." Like, you got all the tricks. You got all the tricks to teach people to hate each other. It's like it's wild out here, man.
No, it really, really is. Yeah, it's crazy how things can escalate, and especially like, I mean, like, wow, you're okay with like children and everything. Yeah, it's tough. Um, this sounds so messed up. Speaking of kids, I know we did favorite character, but what about favorite kid? I
You're
don't want
not
to.
gonna make us pick our favorite child, are you?
Oh yeah, and the rest will go to the concentration camp. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
Yo,
Jay,
you earn 1,000 hate comments.
I kid. They're all in the hills. Favorite kiddo. I'll
Wow.
I'll go first so you don't steal mine. Mine is definitely Kurt, the younger son. He
The
is
hungry one?
the younger one. Yeah,
He
he
was
is
always hungry, right?
no younger.
Oh, the older one was always hungry?
I don't remember which one was always hungry. I'm just talking about the younger one.
Oh, okay, okay, Kirk, gotcha.
Maybe, yeah. I don't remember. Yeah, like with the blueberries and stuff. But I just feel like he was so funny. Um, from his part in when they're saying goodnight to the party. It's just funny. And then when they're kissing the potential new stepmom,
That was
and he, like,
terrific.
kisses her longer and stuff. Like I feel like when I was growing up, he didn't really stand out to me, but I definitely see his humor now more as
I
an
had
adult.
to rewind that part because it was very funny, and I was trying to just get the beat, get the timing of it, because obviously Christopher Plummer's performance helps make that scene very funny. But it is a very funny character thing that the little boy did. Like, I'm gonna give you a long kiss because she's pretty.
And it wasn't like slobbery. It was just like,
No,
mm.
yeah, right, just a little boy kiss.
Yeah. All right.
I would say my favorite kid would would be oh man, it's so hard. 'Cause, like I'm thinking about it. I keep going back and forth. Uh, I will say this is kind of a funny one. I would say my favorite kid right now is Brigitta, because the little dark haired girl. Because I was just watching it, and she looked a lot like Catherine to me. And I had to text it to Catherine like this. You are part of the Von Trapp family. That little girl looks like Catherine when she was a child. And I was
Ah.
like, I thought that was kind of funny. It's hard, man. It's hard. I like all the kids.
I know they were nice. Liesel, oldest, she's probably the only one that has her own like song of her own, right? Where she
Yes.
to go. I think probably the one that stands out the least is the oldest son.
Well, she shared her song with Rolf, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like she's not like everybody. All the other kids pretty much sang with the family. Like
Which
she's
is
that's
also a commercial song. That's in
yeah,
a lot of commercials. 16 going on 7. Yeah.
innocent as a rose. And then Friedrich, the oldest son, yeah. Well, Steve, I'll let you say your favorite. So Brigitta's yours. The the mischievous one. But what about yours, Steve?
I was gonna say the little kid too.
Oh, Greta.
The little
The
kid,
the
Turtle.
boy, the boy,
Oh,
Oh,
the oldest boy or the second boy?
the youngest one,
Oh,
yeah,
Kurt.
yeah.
and then the girl that was constantly trying to figure out if she's in love.
Liesel. Yeah.
Lethal.
Fun fact about the kids' names. Um, when Jason and I did trivia, movie trivia, that question probably helped us win because
It did.
they
It
asked
did.
names.
I didn't know that one at all. I didn't know one of them kids' names.
So I didn't know much the whole time. Jason and Alex were holding it down, but that's like 7 points.
Yeah, that's the one that clinched it for us, honestly.
So I was like, wow, finally, all this Sound of Music knowledge paying off today.
Yeah, you had like a Steph Curry moment. You hit like a 3-pointer from the corner and got fouled.
Serious. Seriously. Yep. Anything else you guys think about when you think of this movie? Give you any feels or
Yeah, like because you guys mentioned like the songs being commercialized, that's why we all know them. Like these songs have been parodied and covered and remixed and mixed into things and played during commercials and TV shows, and these tunes. These little simple tunes anywhere on earth. I will say I did think this though. This happens in Austria, and I think why doesn't everyone have like an Arnold Schwarzenegger accent in this? They should do a version where like they have AI put Austrian accents on everybody. Just make this thing unwatchable.
I wonder if that was an issue back then too. Like did Austrian people take an offense to it being like pretty much Americanized?
Yeah.
Um it kind of makes me kind of sad. Like, don't cancel Sound of Music, please. But maybe we have to. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Just have AI fix it. Now the movie's right. Everybody just have a Schwarzenegger accent. Just put a Schwarzenegger filter on everybody.
I go to the hills. Yeah, no, it's definitely the songs are catchy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually going to the bowl next month.
Nice.
So I will be singing along.
I loved you since you set my pine cone.
I'll be like you, dancing. That was your
Yeah.
dance.
Do they have the little ball bounce on the screen there?
Yes, I do believe so.
Keeping everybody in rhythm.
I'm excited. People dress up and everything. Like a lot of people.
Characters?
Huh?
Like characters?
They dress up like characters, and there's a lot of people that put like they build like fake hills, and it's like the hills are alive.
That's hilarious.
I get so many people who have the fake hills on. A lot of people, yeah, they'll wear the nun outfits or like very like flowy dresses, like they're living in like like the like
I will
that.
wear like the German boy Lederhosen. I will
Yeah,
wear, that's what I'll wear.
people wear those. We'll see. I mean, I last time I wore like a flowy dress. One of these years, I want to get like that. Yeah, that like the little. Oh my gosh, we forgot about that song with the puppets. Oh my god, that song is another favorite too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He was spent after that song, man.
that was great. But the outfits that those little puppets are wearing, I want to buy one year, but they're like $95, and I'm just like for once a year, like that's crazy. But yeah,
Lederhosen.
yeah, cool.
The outfits that the puppets were wearing. Specific. If you go dressed as a puppet to the Hollywood Bowl, that's incredible. If you go as one of the puppets.
Fun fact, I did have to dress with that one time for a show.
Lederhosen?
Yeah.
Nice.
But now that you say that, I think I want to invest in like some strings and a stick, and I'll have my friend take a picture of me. I'm like, giddy over.
Oh, that's huge. Nobody else is gonna go as one of the puppets.
I don't think so. I don't think I've seen that.
It's pretty good.
You wear the little pigtails, and I'm inspired. All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, we can jump into those.
I have something.
Oh,
Did you guys expected the nuns to know about auto mechanics?
you know what's so funny? That's another thing that I didn't notice before. Like, I didn't notice why their cars weren't starting, and that she was like holding the thing. I know. I don't know why. I thought they like cut their brakes. I don't know what I thought, but like, yeah, that was pretty funny. Like who were you before you joined this combat, ma'am?
That's pretty dope. Yeah, right. Who were you?
Yeah, no, I wonder how much of that is true, and I feel bad for being ignorant. Like, did the church help people? Like, was that a good place to hide? And
Good question. I'm sure in some cases it was, and I'm sure in some cases it was the worst place to hide because the church was turning you in, baby.
Yeah, they probably there was a yeah. I don't know.
The
Again,
Catholics did a deal with the Nazis. They were like, okay, they shook hands on it. You know,
mm,
the Nazis were allowed to hide their stolen art in the Vatican during the war for protection. They're like, okay, we stole a bunch of Jewish art, we're gonna hide it out in the Vatican. The Vatican was like, cool, we got it. The Vatican still has that art and gold and artifacts. They have all. They still have it to this day.
oh man, is it
Yeah.
you can like look at it or it's hidden?
Oh no, no, no. The Vatican has like an underground vault that's 2 miles long of stuff that they've probably pillaged from around the world. All
Mm.
type of wealth underneath the Vatican.
Did you go?
I haven't gone, but I've read about it. I don't know if they'll let me in the Vatican. I have my suspicions.
Yes, I went, and I remember going underground too, but I don't know what I was looking for. I am like not a tourist by any
Did
means.
you stray away from the group?
I'm like, where the food at? Like, where's the wine? Like, I can't deal. Like, everything I did, I eventually was like, wow, I should have just went on this alone. I did the Coliseum. They're like, fun fact about this rock, my man. Where I want to take a cute picture and then I want to catch happy hour. Okay, like yeah. But I do remember you have to go under something to get out. But I was like, cool, casket, 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 cool. It was like, that was a cool guy. That was a king. That was oh, bomb, great. Where's the bathroom?
Like my hair. I saw it. I saw it.
I'm the worst, and that was like a lot for me. Like, let it be like U.S. tourism. Nah,
No
I'm the.
dice. Huh?
What's the best food in town? I want to know where the locals eat. Like that's. Like,
What about Austria,
I
Vienna?
mean, I would that's what I'm saying. Out of the country, probably way more. I'm interested in at least going. Like if I'm in certain cities, they're like, you want to go here? Nah, I don't really even want to go. But it like yeah, Colosseum's one of the seventh wonders of the world. Heck yeah, I was gonna go. I paid the ticket. Like it's like I had to do that. In Austria, I got to see my Sound of Music spots. Like heck yeah, but
Yeah. Speaking of that, I saw that there was a Sound of Music tour.
yeah,
So I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't it be a tour? This thing is shot all over that Austrian village area. Well, what I did, I Googled where was it shot. So I'm like, this movie looks like it's shot on location. Like there's a lot of like, so I Googled it while I was watching the movie, and yeah, there's a whole tour. There's many different tours for this movie.
yeah, yeah. I like those. Like even like in Hawaii, you can do the Jurassic Park tour. Like I'll do them, but if there's a 1.5 hour or 3.5 hour tour, I'm definitely gonna go with the 1.5 or the one where you can have the little headphones and the radio and walk around yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that in New Orleans. I did a plantation tour, and
Oh,
I was
nice.
like,
I was
yes,
too afraid to do the plantation tour down there.
I
I didn't feel like I was ready for it. I went on an Everglades. I went on a tour of the Everglades,
and that's
or the swamp, basically. Yeah, not the Everglades, but the swamp.
I want to and also like just speaking back on like how this movie touches on things like I'm also really nervous about doing like World War II museums type stuff. I've pretty much avoided that my whole life. Like I'm scared. Like if like just the like anything like that. It's like yeah.
Are you saying like now that you're starting to mature? Are you saying now that you're starting to mature into it, like you do care about it, or you just still saying like avoid, avoid?
Well, yeah, well, not for the same reason why I avoid like long tourism, but like more so like I've heard it's really emotional.
Oh,
Like
sure.
going into those like how you're saying you avoid the plantation,
Mm-hmm.
which was
Yep.
very emotional, but I don't know why I thought it wouldn't be, but that was a punch in the gut. I feel like I left with a ghost and everything, but that's why I typically
You feel
avoid.
like you left with a ghost,
Yeah,
like it came home with you.
yes,
Was
I
it
know.
was it the Holy Ghost?
I don't know, but like just walking the steps where somebody was potentially enslaved was really mind-boggling, and that's how I feel. Like maybe a museum would be better, but like I don't. Are there even ruins or places you can tour where it's like, oh, this was a camp? Like that's horrible. I don't think I could do that. Like, do they have like walkthroughs through concentration camps? Like that.
I've heard a lot of Black people say that. That's why during like 2020 there was like a compilation of white people having weddings at plantations, and it just like left a bad taste in like every Black person's mouth. Like, what? Like my ancestor died there. Like they're buried there. They were like tortured right where you're having cake. You know what I mean? It's like it's rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do it. Like there's Auschwitz. You can go on like the tour of like the concentration camps. There's
Ooh.
the castles, I think in Ghana, the slave castles in Ghana. I know they got them down there in Brazil as well. So yeah, they're around.
Man, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't even think I can do another plantation one. Like that was one and done. Like that was really intense feeling because it's like real life. Like these are the
Yeah,
steps. They didn't put new rocks here. Like these rocks on the ground, the gravel. It's the same gravel, it's the same dirt, it's the same cotton field.
it's
Like,
different. It's way different than all the stuff being brought to some nice air conditioned museum.
You don't
yeah,
think they vacuum?
I don't think they. Maybe, maybe. All right. We can talk about how the world is messed up for hours.
Yeah,
Um, and this movie definitely brings that out. It's fun and happy and it's singing and it's songing that it does. It does make you think about all of that. Um,
they never advertise it as a Nazi movie.
yeah. I honestly don't even think as a kid I really understood what was happening in that moment either. I'm talking about I've watched this movie since I was probably like 4 years old. Like, and so it probably wasn't until I was like 9 or 10, and like they have you read the Diary of Anne Frank in like elementary school, where I was just like, wait, is this the same year as
Yep.
that? Oh shoot. Because like a lot of times what you think it's only like one country when you're young. At least for me. When I first got told what happened with Hitler, I don't know why I thought it was just like one affected small area. Didn't realize how big the allyship had gotten for him and how vast and how many countries it hit where people were being, you know, taken away from their homes and forced into like cruel things. So it's just like I was like, wait, it was in Austria. I was so naive to it to where I was like, this must be something else, but it's all that. And so even I think like Life is Beautiful, that's Italy, right?
Yep.
I didn't even know. I didn't know it
Yeah.
hit Italy. Like I was very ignorant to like how global things got. Um,
That's a thing that I used to do. I don't really do it anymore, but anytime I traveled anywhere in the world, I would look for their World War II exhibit or museum or what that city's contribution was. Because, like, somewhere in my 20s, like, I start to realize, like, wait a minute, this was a world war, right? So everybody was involved. And I just kept hearing these stories every place I traveled about people's involvement from that corner of the world. And I'm like, dang, everybody committed an effort to seeing this thing through. Everybody, the whole world.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's in the word, but I don't know why. As a child, I didn't grasp that in order for it to be a world war, it needs to be pretty worldwide. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. Oh, yeah, it's tough. All right. Well, final thoughts, or I don't want to cut you off this time. Anybody else have anything?
No, no, no.
No. All right.
Now we wore through the Olympics. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. I guess we'll end how we started. And Jason.
All right. Final thought. It was nice to actually talk to people about this thing. I don't think I've ever actually talked to anyone about this movie per se. I do remember the first time I seen it, I thinking like I need to talk to somebody about this movie. Who knew it was this good? And I think I like went to like my mom or somebody, and they're like, ah, like they didn't care. It was like okay. So I just kind of like stuck, like basking in like the glory that it is this movie, and it's so weird that it's so commercialized, but it's still so wonderful. And I guess that's the reason that it is commercialized. This thing just gives you all the feels, all the warmth, and it's definitely one of those movies that if you see it as a kid, obviously you're going to see it mostly through the kid's eyes. And as you get a little bit older, you're like where I am now, I'm starting to see it through the captain's eyes. Like I'm crying over dad stuff. I'm not even a dad, but it's just emotionally that's where I'm like at. And so Yeah, this is a wonderful movie, and I'll watch it again. I would share it with anybody. If you are a citizen of Earth, just watch this movie. Like, everyone deserves to have seen The Sound of Music at least once. Because one thing's for sure, during the 2+ hour ride of this movie, you will be joyful. You will be happy. So that's pretty awesome that a movie has brought so much, happiness to the whole world. Um, you know, it's such an effort. So yeah, I love this movie. I'll watch it again. I recommend it to everybody. It's terrific.
That was beautiful. Um, Steve, what were your final thoughts?
My final thoughts. Again, I am yet inspired. Last week we discussed the film Musica, and Jason was like, I was very inspired by this. Uh, I still remember the first time that I watched the movie Life is Beautiful,
Hmm.
because I was in an Italian class. I was actually learning Italian, and I saw it in Italian. So I saw it in its rightful language called La Vita Bella. And I was like, I was so young, and I couldn't believe that that film inspired me so much in such a way. And now this movie comes along, and I am a person again that I said in my first impression, and now I'm mentioning in my final thoughts. I'm not the biggest fan of musicals unless they're funny. And this one is not in particular funny, but it is something that again these type of films manage to capture, that it's rare, especially for movies nowadays, because they're so different. But like, it's rare to see movies that genuinely you can watch and they can execute two things that I believe are the hardest things to do on film. And that is to make you feel a very positive emotion. And Life is Beautiful, you laugh, and in this movie you feel happy, you feel very positive, you like that family nucleus and where they sing and everything is very pleasant. But also it shows you a very real thing about life, and it's those heart-wrenching dramatic moments that literally make you either suck more into the screen or scream at it. And I feel that I see now why those movies are regarded so highly upon years and decades, because it just achieves something that many of the other films that we are accustomed of watching, at least the more modern ones, they're more passive. They're more doing it for the moment. But these ones are what they call timeless classics, and that's how I can categorize this film. I would definitely recommend it to people that haven't seen it. I'm pretty sure there's a whole lot of Puerto Ricans out there that haven't seen this movie. But there's definitely a lot of other people that maybe haven't experienced it, because again, this is also a very, even though it's discussing something that happened global, there's other people in other places in the globe that are not as exposed to films like us people in the Western Hemisphere kind of are accustomed to. And yeah, I would definitely recommend. It's a great movie. And yeah, next time I'll for sure watch it with other people, because I bet it's a very fun experience also. And it's also a great movie to have in the background too.
Sure. Yeah.
Yay. So before I jump into my final thoughts, I wanted to have like a cute connection with you, Steve. So funny enough, when I was like 13 years old, this lady I used to do Bible study with, don't ask, it was a different time in my life. We were talking about how I love the sound of music. And she's like, well, if you love the sound of music, you're going to love this movie. Life is Beautiful. And I was just like, what? Okay, cool. So she let me borrow her tape of it, or DVD. I forget like what era that was. And I remember I couldn't sit through it. Like the first 20 minutes, I stopped watching it and I gave it back to her. She's like, did you love it? I said, that movie was so corny. And she was like, oh my gosh, you got to finish it. I was like, okay. So I went home and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finish this movie. And it ended up, it is one of my top 5 favorite films of all time. But it's another one of those movies where they think you're watching something, and then bam, reality sets in. And so it also, both films are super inspirational for me. Probably like Sound of Music, along with the story, it's also very theatrical, and I'm obviously into the arts and things like that. But Life is Beautiful just opened up my eyes. Like we hear things in the history books, but it is very interesting to watch a family go through a moment in time. It makes those moments in time way more personable, and it was probably the best. It was the best way for me to learn were through these kinds of stories, not so much as reading like, "Ooh, and this year the bombs happened." Like, just attaching it to people. It's a very powerful way to make a film, and I'm really glad both of those films were able to be made. So that was just kind of cool that you remember your first time watching Life is Beautiful, and I'll always remember my second time, because the first time I was like, because he's so goofy and he's trying to date this girl. He's like, Maria, the key, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to see these two people fall in love. This is wild. And so I really wish I would have been.
Here's the thing, that was me. That was me. So I was just like, wow, there's a dude in the whole other side of the world speaking freaking Italian that's literally acting like I do.
I love that. Um, but yeah, so my final thoughts on this movie, it always touches my heart, and always in different ways too. Like I've had throughout the years so many of my own chapters, and it is very interesting, kind of like Jason said, like you can watch it through each person, like whether it's a story about a nun who goes to babysit and falls in love, or the story about a guy who loses his wife, hires a crazy nanny, and falls in love, whether it's about a best friend that wants his friends' kids to be singers, and he conflicted with what he wants and with the war, and he's like, just keep your head down. I bet you Max is a Libra. I'm just saying.
Mm.
There's so, whether you're a child, like just wanting love from your dad, and he changed so drastically, and then you have this woman come in and understand you, and you feel close to her. You never probably thought you. It's just like it just always hits, man, and it's just like it's very emotional. Like, um, I think even when I was like a younger adult than I am now, when I was single and everything, I think I identified a lot more with Maria's like journey, and just like not really fitting in. I grew up in a religion I really didn't fit in, and like it's just like there's so many layers to it, and you can like feel it from so many ways. And I felt it again. I was tearing up every 5 seconds, even when like she left the house. I was like, I don't know why. It was just like so many emotions, and it was really well done. And I do feel like it's timeless. Like, um, I think we can always relate to these emotions no matter what. Um, I do recommend them. I recommend this movie all the time. At least once a year, I drag 2 people with me to the Sound of Music Hollywood Bowl, whether they watched it or not. But I love it. Whether or not you want to learn more about like theater and acting and singing and dancing, or if you're interested in stories that kind of highlight things that have happened in history, I think it's a really good recommendation. I will watch it again. I'm watching it again next month. And before I conclude this, I just wanted to play the song I was trying to say, but I was butchering. So I will keep
No,
my
no,
date.
no, 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 no music, no, no, no,
All right.
please, no. No.
All right.
It's
But
just
Seven
really
Rings,
bad for the video. Just YouTube
the,
stuff.
I just wanted to note that the song I said earlier was Seven Rings by Ariana Grande. So, yeah.
Seven Rings, Ariana Grande. Um, oh wait, there was something. Oh, I just want to draw one correlation before we get out of here. What Captain von Trapp did with letting down the Baroness is what I wanted Rudy to do last week with the girls on the double date situation. I wanted Rudy to just let her know outright, like, hey, listen, this isn't gonna work. I'm not in love with you. And just be a man and just take the brunt. And like you would have been better off if you just would have let her down instead of letting her keep on talk, Rudy. Dang. Okay, sorry. Not the same movie, but I just I just feel like we all could be more like Captain Von Trapp a little bit. So what I was gonna ask was, Steve, what do you got for us next week?
next week. So before I even say that, I gotta comment on what you just said, and I'm just gonna say, men back in the day weren't built like men today. You know what I'm saying? So they
We need
just
to be more Captain von Trapp and less Rudy. Exactly.
they operate a little different. You know what I'm saying? We gotta make fucking music and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't know why you asked me what's next week because you know that you're next.
Oh, me?
Yes, you.
So we're actually going to. I was inspired after watching this thing, and I was like, you know what? We're going to stay in Europe, and we're going to take a little train ride right back to Italy. So we're going to be watching The Great Beauty, 2013. It takes. It's all I know. It takes place in Roma. That's all I know about this thing. It's on the 1,000 movies you need to see before you die list, and that's what we're going to be watching.
Woo.
There
All
you
right.
go. So for Jason Echoes, Marina, and me, Steve Dennis,
Uh-oh. Yep.
That's
All
Oye
right.
Cinema Club.
That's
Woo.
it.